like it's ringing. We're flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in.
Tactical nuke incoming!
So before we get started on talking about K9-Aversion's recent video, I figured I'd go over a few comments, and I'm not going to use their names, or at least mention their names. They know who they are, but I wanted to kind of, respond to some of the bullshit that some of these people are saying, which I thought was kind of ridiculous. And just so you guys know, this is a conversation, or not a conversation, but responding to two in particular people when it comes down to these comments. First, one of these two individuals makes a remark that, for me being a gamer, for whatever reason, I hate the advancement of technology, which I never say that, and I don't know why they assume that. Only because I question the ethics, or at least question the whole logic of, oh, this lady said that there's no difference between, using a service dog or a cane for a person who is blind or visually impaired to get around. By the way, that was the basis of the whole video, was the fact that when it comes down to that whole thing, especially with the article that K9-Aversion used, let's get this straight right now. When it comes down to that article, yes, she mentions the fact that there's no difference between using a dog or a cane, but the thing that people like the two people that comment on my video forget to mention, and the thing that K9-Aversion fails to look into, or at least discuss, because let's face it, she is dishonest as all fuck, is the fact that the person said, regardless of whether you use a cane nor a service animal, respect the other's perspective and what they use. That was the main basis of that article. So, to an extent, it's stupid where these people are, oh, you hate technology, but you're a gamer. I'm like, no, where the fuck did I say that? And I'm only questioning the logic of it, mentioning the fact that, when it comes down to certain technologies, especially stuff that is being built as we speak, that isn't available, there's a good chance that it will probably cost, if not the same or more, than a service animal. And let's go on further, because this person tries to claim that I do zero research on the topic, when, by the way, spoilers, K9-Aversion does no better when it comes down to her shit. And I'm not trying to do a whole got you, I don't do my research. But the fact of the matter is, especially with somebody who, by the way, is making videos, as well as, has to have good equipment, I know my technology. Which I'm a little bit offended when it comes down to the whole I hate advancement of technology bullshit. Let me put this in perspective, because this is probably something that will, maybe hit home when it comes down to it. Good example, computers. Good computers, let's say, for instance, depending on what you're looking for, whether it's just a regular computer for work or a computer for gaming, computers could probably run up to, let's say, between the lowest, about 200 to 300, and the highest, again, depending on what you want to use it for, over $4,000. So, to an extent, the price varies, especially with the quality of the equipment, which is what I was trying to get at, especially with the last video, is depending on what these people, who are building these devices to help people who are blind and visually impaired, what they have to go through to make this technology, the time, money, equipment, all of that adds up. And more likely, it is up to them eventually, when everything goes public, on what their devices cost. So, to an extent, it may be, again, the same or higher to that of a service animal. Look, when it comes down to it, technology varies when it comes down to price. And it's more of, I guess you could say, a supply and demand. Especially nowadays where computers, especially with social distancing, more and more people are going to be buying computers. Prices may vary, again, depending on what you purchase. Vehicles themselves, as they get older, reduce in price, as well as cars that are newer and are put, I guess you could say, put more effort into it when it comes down to the vehicle and what's in it, will have an increase in price compared to their variety of different counterparts. And by the end of it, I mean, what you buy, or at least what you decide you get to help you, it's your own decision. And honestly, when it comes down to it, we should respect people for the decisions they make on what helps their lives. And that was the point of, again, the article that K9-Aversion stupidly used, as well as, unfortunately, decided to, leave a good portion out of her video, where the individual, and I'll read, by word what the person said, that whether or not you choose to use a cane or a dog, the key to independent travel lies in a high level of self-confidence. Making this decision is a very personal choice, and it is important to, all caps, respect each other's individual decision. Alright, so now they got that out of the way, why don't we go ahead and respond to one of K9-Aversion's most recent videos, which is titled, I Kicked a Service Dog and Other Lies. And trust me when I say this will be quite entertaining. Well, at least for us, not her. And by the way, because I have to usually say this with my videos, we Novakast do not condone any form of harassment, bullying, and of any of that variety of stuff when it comes down to bullying, cyberbullying, doxing, etc. So, please, for the love of God, don't do it.
It's very frustrating that even a year after I produced a video called The Smear Campaign Against Me and What You Should Know, that people continue to spread lies about me.
Not really, considering that, especially with a lot of the things that are brought up in videos, is the stuff that you yourself have made public. At least when it comes down to everything so far, has been what you yourself have published on the internet. So in the sense, when it comes to this whole quote-unquote smear campaign or people talking about you, that's on you. Especially when you say stupid shit.
And these lies are preventing people from listening to my message.
I hate to take from a, creator that's probably better than me, but...
Hey, moron! Fucking moron!
I would probably assume that the people, or at least the reason that people don't watch your videos is, one, a lot of people aren't going to be thrilled with you trying to claim that all dog owners are evil. Especially, with making radical claims that they're terrorists, or, the whole dog parasite mind-controlling thing. Making up stupid shit, which goes on to my second point. A lot of the things you say and self-promote in your videos can be easily debunked by just doing a quick Google search. So, it's not that, people have been talking about you. It's, more likely, some of the people that watch your content will look at it, say, oh, there's the crazy lady, and then proceed to, see if any of it is true, and when they see that it, 90% of the time that's not, will then proceed to, click off and not watch your content ever again. I would say that maybe to an extent that, people at this point in time, have some influence, but not much. I mean, let's face it, my videos will, at least my current videos discussing you, probably get less than 100 views, so I'm not going to make much of an impact. Again, lately, if anything, it's more because people just think you're crazy.
Oh, that crazy lady that threatened her neighbor with a machete? Oh, I'm not going to listen to her.
Let me ask you, does it really seem of sound mind to threaten somebody with a machete just because their dog is barking? I mean, really? I mean, again, does it seem, a person being of sound mind, going out of their way to blow a air horn at a dog that's fenced across the street, not doing anything to you, but barking, and you going on and off about how that you will not be harassed in your own yard?
I will not be harassed when I'm in my own yard. I won't be harassed when I'm in my own yard, minding my own business.
And let's be fair here. Videos like that would more than likely end up on channels like Karen's in the Wild, just to show how crazy this lady is, because again, she can't handle a dog barking for, a bit, and proceeds to try to use the air horn on the animal, claiming that she is being harassed. I know I'm sounding insensitive, but let's be fair. This is beyond ridiculous, especially when this woman wants to play victim. It's, to an extent, funny and sad, especially since this is more self-induced by her own actions.
So I'm going to try to clear things up because evidently people didn't watch that video. I'm going to address a few things. Now, I used to be known as K9-Aversion, and before that I had another YouTube channel which doesn't exist anymore. Back then, I was sort of following in the footsteps of I Hate Dogs, and I was copying his, delivery. I probably sounded a lot more hateful back then, because I thought that would be effective.
Lady, let's be honest here. Even though you try to claim that you try to make a difference with your channel, you sound no different than you were back then. Especially when, again, you're trying to make claims that, oh my gosh, the dog lovers are terrorists.
People accused me of things, though, that I wasn't guilty of. That I was on a mission to kill all dogs. That was never my goal. I always said that I wanted dogs to be banned, dog ownership banned, and that I wanted dogs to be bred out of existence.
So, 1, the bred out of existence ideal or goal is impossible, considering, again, how dogs are ingrained in human society at this very point. Second, you were in support of a variety of different people and supported the actions of people who wanted harm done to these animals. Not just that, but you also supported the actions of people like I Hate Dogs, Dog Lovers Mentally Ill, and Rational Thinker, who made death threats towards individuals that were both against you and I Hate Dogs.
But these people exaggerated stories, twisted them, and fabricated lies.
Not really, considering the mass majority of the stuff that I've, talked about is stuff that you've made public. So, in some sense, especially with your previous channels and what you've done as the K9-Aversion, you yourself have done and said. So, no, it's not lies, it's what you've said, and we're only commenting on what you said as the individual, saying it.
I want to address a few of those. They claim that I defended a person who threatened a pregnant woman.
Yes, you did.
I did defend a person who was a complete stranger. I thought it was just a fellow dog hater.
So, just perspective. This is I Hate Dogs, Dog Lovers Are Mentally Ill, as is who she's talking about. Or as he's now going by, Dogs Suck, apparently. And this is a person who was a huge fan of both I Hate Dogs and K9-Aversion, who K9-Aversion, in his defense, would comment, make comments of support on his previous channel. Especially when it comes to comments of, said, said threats. Now, I'm assuming that this, K9-Aversion or K9 Karen, whatever you want to call her, doesn't want to make any association of, her and, I Hate Dogs, Dog Lovers Are Mentally Ill, or Dog Sucks. Because at this point, by trying to make some, situation of saying that they were from the same community and just claiming that they were a random person, would maybe make the assumption that, to an extent, some of the people in the dog hating community are not mentally well. And let's be fair here, especially when it comes to I hate dogs, dog lovers are mentally ill, or dog sucks. Looking at his track record, being supportive to the dog hating community, this person not only has made death threats, but also brandished weapons in videos, mentioning how he wanted to commit harm towards certain individuals and describing the said acts of harm to, towards the individuals that accosted him, as well as promoting, or if anything, being in defense to a variety of different mass shooters, as well as sharing videos of animal abuse.
They also say that I threatened my neighbor with a machete. I did not threaten my neighbor. I felt threatened by my neighbor.
Bullshit!
People who think that I was being unreasonable are unaware. They are ignorant of the true nature of bully breeds.
You know, regardless of the threat level of the dog, how would you feel if you saw your neighbor coming up to your house with a machete and then just standing in your driveway? I mean, honestly, what would that look like? Honestly, if I was that person, the neighbor, I would be more like, this lady's fucking crazy, and probably would have to be committed for, trying to, or at least what it seems like, trying to do harm to either myself or my animals. Again, regardless of what you consider as the threat level.
I went over to talk to my neighbor. I shooed the dog away. I went to talk to my neighbor from the end of his driveway. I didn't go onto his property. And I told him to keep his dogs on his property. And I did say that if his dogs come onto my property and approach my children, that I won't hesitate to kill them.
So, looking past, the first part of your explanation being different from what you originally said when it comes down to that whole situation where you literally walked up to your neighbor's property and threatened to kill their dogs with a machete. A threat is still a threat. You made a verbal threat towards your neighbors and their pets. So in regards, you making a call to action is still a threat towards that individual. Doesn't matter whether, and unfortunately, doesn't matter whether or not you feel threatened by them. You have to take in consideration what the other person's going to look into this and see. And, when it comes down to it, I wouldn't be surprised if they see some, crazy lady or crazy neighbor going up to their house with a machete and claiming action towards not just them, but to their dogs, or more importantly, to their dogs for, whatever reason. Which I think goes without saying is not okay. It is not an appropriate action to take, especially with dealing situations of dogs or whatever, in any situation.
I kicked a service dog? No, I did not kick a service dog. I told this story on my old channel. People continue to spread these lies about me to call it a service dog. It wasn't a service dog. What happened was I was going to my husband's office with some artwork to hang in his office. This was on a weekend when the building should have been empty. It was a medical building. There should not have been anyone there. People in that building work only Monday to Friday. So we were expecting the building to be empty. He had the key to the back door. We were going to go up the stairs to his office when all of a sudden the door opened and out came a colleague of his with her pet dog. The dog was not a service dog. It was a regular pet dog. There was nothing special about this dog. It should not have been in that building.
Now, in the original story that she made in this video, or at least that video that she, when she was describing this whole situation, she was at a doctor's office for an appointment. Somebody with their dog showed up. The dog was looking around, didn't do anything to her, and I guess by adjusting itself towards her briefly, and not to an extent that will be close to her, proceeds to kick the animal. Now, when it comes down to, a medical building, there are, I would probably assume there are certain dogs that are allowed to, be in the facility with certain, I guess you could say, I want to say restrictions, or if anything, approved actions to be in a medical building. So in that regard, this is a different story from what she told originally, and this goes back to, I think she's trying to paint herself as somebody who is in some sense in the right, or as somebody who is not as, I don't want to say sadistic, but not well. I think that would probably be the best way to put it.
I did not mock any child for losing their dog.
Oh no, of course you wouldn't mock somebody for losing their dog. You just call them a terrorist or a horrible person because they owned, a dog or an animal that you didn't like. By the way, in case people didn't get it, that was sarcasm, and I want to just point out that I wouldn't, second guess K9-Aversion ever mocking somebody for losing their animal, including a child. Because again, especially when it comes to dogs, she has no awareness when it comes down to some of the things she says or does in her videos.
Truthfully, I was glad the dog was killed because that dog was driving me crazy with its barking.
And with that, she's been awarded this video clip.
I smell job. You're ugly.
To be honest though, it's shit like this that doesn't make me really be, or at least feel very sympathetic towards what she tries to say or the point she tries to make. Especially since, I didn't feel sorry for the dog dying because it was barking drove me crazy. Guess what? Dogs bark. And I'm sure, I'm gonna just take a wild guess that you have never been in the city before, where there is a ton of noise created by, guess what? Humans. We probably make more noise than what dogs will probably do in the day.
It was causing me tremendous stress and impacting my health. So I was relieved when that dog died. So that wasn't mocking the child. The child never saw that video.
Okay, no. Regardless of whether or not the child saw the video, you mocked, or let's be honest here, you applauded the death of their animal, their pet. So therefore, or ergo, you mocked the child and the death of their animal.
It's just really frustrating that people make me out to be some kind of monster when I'm not.
Well, it doesn't help with, all the misinformation that you spread towards not just the animals, but, the mass majority of dog owners when it comes down to, the animals and the people who own them. Not to mention, making claims or, I want to say using broad terms as, like calling them terrorists or a variety of other names to try to devalue or try to, I guess, make the other party look bad, which is what you do on the daily, focusing on dog owners, which I think I should add that it's no different than what you were doing in the past. You may have changed the name of your channel, but unfortunately, you are clearly the same as you were from back then. Alright, I think that's all I need to say about this video. This video itself, I think it was like 12, almost 13 minutes long. There's a lot to go through, and a lot to discuss, especially when it comes down to some of the things that she says is way different than what she described it in her previous channel, which is odd, since this person wants to talk about, honesty and all that, and refuses to, acknowledge, the facts or what she says in her past channel. But anywho, that's on her. And I know I'm probably going to get hate comments from, her fans or the, K9-Aversion cult, which go right ahead. I enjoy reading them and I enjoy responding to them. And with that, speaking of the comments, by the way, what are your guys' thoughts? Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Novakast signing off. Have a good one, and take care. Peace.